We are discussing these ayahs from Surah Al-Mu'minun. These ayahs serves as the foundation of the believer's personality and attributes required for a mu'min to be successful in this world and in hereafter. We had spoken about وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِلزَّكَاةِ فَاعِلُونَ, the third quality, which is in the fourth ayah of Surah Mu'minun, and we said that there are two translations to it. One translation is, which we spoke in the previous khutbah, that and those who always focused on their purification. And then we spoke about what is self-purification. We call it tazkiyah, nafs, and then we spoke about different ways and how it affects the person. However, there's another translation which we spoke about, and that is وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِلزَّكَاةِ فَاعِلُونَ, and they who are observant of zakah or pay zakah. That means people who pay the mandatory charity. See, fa'ilun means a permanent and a firm habit, which means that they keep on doing it. See, in Islam there are two kinds of charities. One which is mandatory, which is called zakah, and one which is voluntary, we can do at any time. Zakah is the third pillar of Islam, we all know that. However, we need to understand that why Islam gives so much importance to this welfare system. Basically, zakah is a welfare system. In Islam, community or people have utmost importance. Islam gives great importance to the reformation of the society. So basically, zakat is a system to take care of the society. And Islam makes sure that none should be deprived of the basic necessities. That is food, shelter, education, and medical. It's a must. It's responsibility of the Muslim state to take care of these things. However, I know most of you will say, well, it's not happening. Well, it is happening in certain way, not at the best, but some of the places it does happen. But however, this is the reason of the zakah basically. So it is a religious obligation for every Muslim. Like there is a religious obligation of praying 5 times a day, same way, it's a religious obligation that a person must give zakah. Zakah basically means to purify one's wealth. It comes from an Arabic word, zakah, which means purification or growth. Apart from that, it is also an acknowledgement that whatever we have is given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the owner of everything. Let it be my health, let it be my wealth, let it be anything I have in my life, it is given to me from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I am the only one who uses it while I am alive, and once I am dead, everything remains in this world, and it's only me he goes and presents himself in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And why this acknowledgement is required? Because you must understand, my dear brothers and sisters, that wealth or money is the biggest symbol of love of this world. Yani people would do anything for the status, for the money, for the wealth, whatever you want to call. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in Surah Al-Fajr, chapter number 89, verse number 89 and 20, verse number 20, وَتُحِبُّونَ الْمَالَ حُبًّا جَمًّا, and you love wealth with immense love. We need to understand one more thing, that this is how we are born with as well. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Humazah, that is chapter number 104, ayah number 2 and 3, الَّذِي جَمَعَ مَالًا وَعَدَّدًا, who collect wealth and continuously counts it. Like this ayah itself, there can be a full khutbah about this. That who collects wealth and continuously count it, يَحْسَبُ أَنَّ مَالَهُ أَخْلَدًا, thinking that their wealth will make them immortal. This is a kind of reality. If we just look into it, we will learn a lot of lessons. How close Islam is to the nature of a person. How closely or how beautifully Islam addresses the problems of the human nature. However, we are born with this, with the love of wealth, with the love of family, with the love of children. Whatever we have in this world, we are born with the love. So what this love does to us, that it creates a disease in our heart. If it crosses what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has limited, if it crosses those limited boundaries, it will make our heart sick. A spiritual disease which is called as nifaq, hypocrisy. So how to get rid of that disease? One of the ways is infaq. That is to spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is to spend on the things which in this world we may not have any benefits, or we may not get anything in return. So infaq is the way to get rid of the disease of the heart. And one of the ways of doing infaq is mandatory charity, which is zakah. Who will pay the zakah? Of course, every Muslim who is insane and have minimum of 85 grams of gold. He would pay 2.5% on his annual savings if it is 85 grams of gold or more, if a lunar year has passed. Of course, there are other things like livestock has a different way of giving the zakah, and crops and stuff. We are not going to do that because nowadays it's not really normal. But in Islam, there are different ways of paying different zakah on different things. However, in general, the kind of wealth we have to pay minimum 2.5% every lunar year. So how people keep count of that? Normally they pay zakah in Ramadan. So they know Ramadan is there, 1 year has passed, whatever is there in my account, if 1 year has passed, I'll just pay on that. Who receives the zakah? Basically, it is for poor and needy people. It's a simple rule. It's for poor and needy people. They can be homeless, they can be orphans, they can also be people who are in debt. If somebody is in debt, we can help him to get out of his debt. However, we need to understand one thing about this debt. Debt does not mean that I would go to the bank, I apply for loan, then I take 5 houses, 4 cars, 10 mobiles, and say, I'm in debt. No, it's not that kind of debt. It's a debt where person do not even have to eat. He do not have enough money to eat. If he has eaten today and he don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, that's the kind of debt we're talking about. Travelers stranded without funds, institutions working for the benefits of the Muslim community. It is not a voluntary act. Zakah is not a voluntary act. It's an obligatory and non-negotiable act that every Muslim must perform. Because, as I've said, the basic thing is to ensure that people who are in need are taken care of. See, refusing to pay zakah or mocking is a sign of kufr. And anybody who denies the obligation of zakah is basically a kafir. Kafir means a person who disbelieves. So it is an obligation, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in Surah Baqarah, chapter 2, verse number 43, وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ وَارْكَعُوا مَعَ الرَّاكِعِينَ, and establish prayer and give zakah and bow with those who bow in worship and obedience. Somebody might be lazy. See, we are talking about two kinds of people. One person who says, no, there is no zakah, or I'm not going to pay it. That's it. He's out of the fold of Islam. We're not talking about that. Now we are talking about the person who claims to be a Muslim. He have enough savings at the end of the lunar year, and then he says, why should I pay zakah? See, I was not here, somewhere in another country. I met this young man, not really young, but compared to me, he was young. And I was talking to him about the zakah. And he said, he was a doctor, by the way. And he said, tell me, why should I pay zakah? I spend money to study. And of course, to become a doctor, it's a very expensive thing, anywhere in the world. So he's saying, I am the one who spent money to become a doctor. I used my abilities to study. Then I did all the things I can to get into this position. I work in the hospital like 15, 14, 18 hours a day sometimes. It's my hard-earned money. Why should I pay zakah? And now see, subhanAllah, if you look at the argument, it's a very valid argument. That person is working day and night and doing a lot of things to get the wealth, and then on top of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, 2.5%, give it. See, on 100, 2.5% may not sound a lot. But you keep on adding zeros, because of course, mashallah, doctors makes good money, so I'm sure he was making good money as well. So if he has to pay like, let's say, $25,000 on his savings, now that is a lot of money to pay. So this thing was very natural, this argument was very natural coming out of him. However, whatever I answered him. However, there is something very important, but what people do not realize is that whatever is given to us is by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have made me in a way that I couldn't read. Or maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had taken the ability away from me to retain things, no memory. Or maybe whatever I have done, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have taken this or put in me a kind of fear that whenever I sit in exam, I start shaking, trembling, I can't give the exam. A lot of things could happen, right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed me with all those blessings. And that is the reason I am who I am. And it goes for everyone. Let it be a doctor, engineer, normal person. So whatever we have, the problem is that we don't realize that whatever we have is given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And once we realize this, then the thinking process would change. Well, I was talking to somebody just a few days ago, and the person was saying, I'm not happy, I'm not happy, I'm not happy, I'm not happy. And the reason for not being happy, whatever it was, but one of the main reasons for a person not to be happy is because we do not count the blessings we have of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Well, you are sitting in this country. Forget about a lot of things. A person is sitting in this country. There are millions of people who dream just to be here. Millions. Because of their own reasons. I'm not going into the reasons right now. There are millions of people who dream to be here. Why? Because you have clean water to drink. You have access to the food, medical, education, a lot of things. There can be a lot of things. But why we are in depression or why we are not happy? Because we don't count the blessings we have. Instead, we count the blessings what the other person have. We try and count the blessings of the other people without realizing what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to me. Without realizing that I am one of the luckiest person on this earth. Well, sometimes if you're feeling stressed or you're feeling depressed, just try to visit a ward of a hospital where people can't walk, can't sit down. Some people are born with a disease that they have been on the bed since they're born. So many blessings we have. Respect to everyone. We are not disrespecting it. But what I'm trying to say is, the reason people wouldn't be happy or would complain sometimes. See, I have everything, but I don't have this. I have everything, but I don't have this. Well, nothing is perfect in this life. Anyhow, we have to went somewhere else. So unless we realize the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala we have, with all the other things, we can never be grateful. We can never be thankful. So this is where the system of zakah comes in. This is where it comes in that whatever I have, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have asked me only 2.5%. Only. And that is also from my savings. Not what I earn. Let's say I earn $1 million a year. And I spend everything. No zakah. I don't have to pay any zakah. Let's say I have other things, whatever it is. But all of things are, going into charity. I have nothing, no savings at the end of the year. No zakah, no matter how much I'm spending, I'm earning. So zakah is not on earning, it's on saving. Saving means that is basically something you don't need. That is why you have it in your bank account or at your home for a year without using. Prophet ﷺ has said that for the person who do not pay zakah, who is lazy in that, or who thinks like, let the time pass, maybe 2 or a few more months or something, Prophet ﷺ said that whoever is made wealthy by Allah and does not pay zakah on the day of resurrection, on the day of judgment, his wealth will be made in a poisonous snake. That snake would have 2 spots on top of the eyes and will encircle his neck and will bite him on the cheeks, on the other places. And the snake would say, I am your wealth, I am your treasure. And then Prophet ﷺ recited these ayahs from Surah Al-Imran. It's a one ayah. I'll just go through the translation. I'll just start. وَلَا يَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ يَبْخَلُونَ. Arabic, I wish people would know Arabic, because the beauty of Quran, the stress and the impact of the word, Arabic words we can have, it's in no other language. Anyhow, and let not those who greedily withhold, who do not spend what Allah has given them of His bounty. You withhold what Allah has given you from His bounty, ever think that this is better. Being stingy, being accumulating wealth, not spending in the way of Allah, you think this is better? Rather it is worse for them. بَلْ هُوَ شَرٌّ لَهُمْ. But this is worse for them. Their necks will be encircled by what they withheld on the day of resurrection. See, there is one more thing we need to understand. Allah, these all warnings, day of judgment, what is going to happen in later life, most of the people, they think these are just fairy tales. Most of the people think that, this is all like just to make us feel afraid or fearful. Do any of us remember when we were in our mother's womb? We don't. If somebody say he does, well, either it's a miracle or he's a liar. We don't remember, right? But it happened. We all know it happened. And we are 100% sure that it happened. Unless somebody wants to be Adam. We all know where we came from. But do we remember? Do I know how it happened, where I was, what was happening on the time? Not from there, up to 4, 3, 5, 6 years. We don't, right? Does that mean it never happened? Of course it doesn't mean. If somebody said it never happened, the person is out of senses. So these all things are going to happen. These all things are happening in the graves. All the goods and bad news what Prophet ﷺ has given us is happening right now to the people who are in the other world. It's all about Iman. It's all about learning. That is the problem, that when these warnings or glad tidings comes both ways, people say, who have seen that? Who knows about it? And wallahi, then this kind of wealth, which is very dear to the person, it becomes a curse. A wealth which is not purified becomes a curse for a person. If it is not something physical, it would be mental. A person would be in torture mentally. As I sometimes, I give example, if it is nothing, wallahi, the transportation will not work. I've seen so many people, brand new car, whatever mean of transport, brand new, no problems. And it is not their fault, but somebody else would come and hit the car. That's it. What can you do? What can you do? Imagine you have done everything you want, all the safety, protection, nothing, and somebody else comes and hit the car. Done. You are in trouble mentally, even if insurance is going to take care of your car, full insured, XYZ, whatever you want to say. If the zakah is not paid, if the wealth is not purified, it becomes a kind of curse. There is no blessings in that. There is no contentment in that wealth. There is no satisfaction in that wealth. On the other hand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves when a person spends from what he loves. When the person spends what is more dearer to him. Well, one is wealth, but there is something else I want you to pay attention to. Who are, or what is the most beloved thing to us in this life? There are children, without any doubt. If they are not my children, it will be the children of, maybe my son, my, sister or somebody, but it's human love. We all love our children, right? How many of us think this way, that I train my child to be a preacher of Islam for the society? I'm not saying 24/7. I'm not asking them to, just get them out of the school and put them in madrasa. No, this is not what I'm asking. What I'm saying is that how many of us think of our most beloved asset, our children, to do the work of God, to become for us sadaqah jariyah? How many of us think like that? Very few. Very few. You know why? Because this is where the love of wealth comes in. We think that unless they become doctor, engineer, or whatever good status they have in life, they cannot feed, they cannot eat. Wallahi, but right now, if you look at the economy of the country where we are living, there are many people with PhD degrees and master's degrees have no jobs. No jobs. They are on the welfare system for however it works. Whereas on the other side, you can see a lot of people who are probably just middle school passed. And they are excellent in their job. They are excellent in their business. Wallahi, this is from Allah. It's Allah who feeds us. It's Allah who provides us. What Allah requires from us is to do the right thing. There is a lot that can be said, but I'll just give you one example. There are a lot of examples, and I'm going to talk about Musa alayhi salam, because he's mentioned in Quran 136 times. I'm sure most of you have heard the story, but try to go through that story one by one. Every step, what happened with Musa, what happened with Bani Israel. And then when Allah asked Musa to go to the Fir'aun, the same Fir'aun which wanted to kill him, that what happened? How Allah helped him out of nothing. There were a lot of things, but just one miracle to speak about. Sea, Red Sea in front of them. Pharaoh with his army at the back. They didn't know what to do. Musa didn't know what to do, alayhi salam. Nobody knew what to do. But Musa was firm that if my Rabb has brought me here, he has a plan. I may not know what is the plan. And what were the people saying? Oh, Musa, Marwadia, what have you done? Now we're going to die. At least when we were with Pharaoh, we were alive. Now he's going to come and crush us. But Musa said, don't worry. Allah has brought us here. He's going to find the way for us. And then what happened? We all know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala parted the sea. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala parted the sea for them. Same sea became a source of life for them, that they passed through it, and same sea became the source of death. The reason of death for the whole army. No matter what they would have done, they could have never defeated the army of Pharaoh. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it in a way that they do not even have to slap anybody, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed the army of Pharaoh. Well, this is just the one example. So what we have to do in life is the right thing to do. And on the other side, the person who pays zakah, charity, voluntary acts, good things through anything, even if it is a smile, even if it is saying something good, wallahi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removes the calamities, the troubles of that person from the life. He will be self-content. To us, the person may look like, oh, he don't even have a car, or he have a very old car, oh, he don't even own a house, or what this and that. Wallahi, but in his heart, in his mind, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give the peace and satisfaction that millionaires, the people who are millionaires, they only dream about it. You know, one of the best blessings, best blessings, there are a lot, but just one of the best blessings, that person would go to bed, sleep in 5 minutes. Maybe 2 minutes. And these people with mental stress, they would take this medicine, this therapy, that therapy. And when they go to bed, they still can't sleep. Depression, stress, problems, pains. Not physical, mental I'm talking about. This is called the peace. This is one of the blessings only given to the people who are doing the right thing in their life. And if you will not choose to do that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Layl, for the people, and are for those who fear, who gives and fear Allah, فَأَمَّا مَنْ عَتَى وَاتَّقَى وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى, and believes in the best reward, we will ease him towards ease. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make things easy for you. وَأَمَّا مَنْ بَخِلَ وَاسْتَغْنَى, and the person who do the bukhul, stingy, holds, وَكَذَّبَ بِالْحُسْنَى, and denies the best reward, then we will ease him towards difficulty. And his wealth will not help him as he falls into this world or into hell. Wealth cannot help. There are a lot I can talk about. The time is flying away. It's always a thing. However, to finish it, Ya Ikhwan Muslimin, zakah is a system to take care of the people who needs our help. And as an individual, as a mu'min, as a Muslim, it's my responsibility to contribute into that. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala desired from a Muslim, from a mu'min, what Quran desires from us is to play our part, to play our role. It can be in wealth, it can be as a person, it can be as my children. Of course, it reduces the poverty, it reduces the inequality, it stabilizes the economic activity. Just to give you an example, that in the time of Umar bin Abdul Aziz, that was 717 to 720 CE, it is reported that in Medina there was no one who required or who was looking for zakah. Nobody needed zakah at that time. This is the barakah of the Islamic system. And 56, 54 or 58 Muslim countries, whatever happened in the past has happened. Not even one country can say that we have an Islamic economic system. 1.8 billion Muslims, minimum. Not a single country where you have an Islamic economical system. What a shame. What a shame. Why? If I'll go into that detail, of course, all the time is going to, went away. So, Ya Ikhwan Muslimin, it is our responsibility to do whatever we can for the betterment of the society. And one of the ways to do is to do the voluntary acts. And on those voluntary acts, one of the mandatory acts is to give zakah on our wealth, whatever we have. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes us from the people who develop this trait. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our efforts, our worships and our du'as, inshallah, and select us for the paradise. Whatever I said are reminders and not fatwas. If there is anything wrong, that is because of my weakness, and whatever good is there is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.